Welcome to 365 Unlimited, where it is no longer the Art of Football 365. We have transitioned. We've been gone a couple weeks, working on a rebrand for our show, for what we want to do with the community, the engagement side of things. We just feel like we're more versatile doing something like this, being able to take it down different avenues, whether it's in the sports world or even outside of the sports world, and kind of engage small-time businesses in our community, dive into women or men's sports, whether it's football, basketball, baseball, volleyball, golf. We just want to take this as far as we can, and we feel like this is the best mean necessary to do so. We're very excited to be back, though. I mean, we both got done with school. We did one interview with Cam Hutt, and then after that, it's been a 3-week break, which actually, it actually
good.
was nice.
Yeah.
It was nice to kind of regenerate the thoughts, get the motivation back, and kind of channel our inner thoughts and realizing what we're doing, what we're trying to accomplish, and kind of realize what that dream still is, and where we want to take this. While we have been gone, I know we kind of mentioned this before. We took our break, but we started a summer internship. We're just finally getting into the routine of where we're going to be working with Personal Corner, Des Bryant. Big shout out to Luke McBatterson, who has kind of paved the way for us to have this opportunity be possible. Without him, we wouldn't be able to be working for my personal childhood hero, Des Bryant. So I'm excited to learn. I know Gannon is excited. We're going to learn a lot of good things this summer with that. So we're working. I also got a sports writing job working for Primetime Sports Talk. So if you don't know who they are, I'll put that in the description, where you can follow them on social media. Stay in tune with my writing work. It's new for me, so I haven't really done this before. So it's a new opportunity, just kind of learning and growing, and that's what we've been doing. So 365 Unlimited. You're going to hear that term quite some
A lot.
Yeah, quite often. We're excited about it. Really excited about it. So for episode 78, we got a little bit of a twist, a little warm up action. We've been gone, the couple weeks, so we want to get back into this thing in a different manner, and kind of do a little bit of a around the horn theme here, where we're talking about 5 topics. Gannon and I are each going to have 2 minutes and 30 seconds. We'll have a timer going where we're sitting back, talking about a certain topic that we have pre-written, where we decided we want to talk about these topics. So, Gannon, any thoughts you want to add before we dive into this?
Yeah, I mean, this is gonna be kind of a cool little change up. I don't know. We're gonna also talk about our event. I know is coming up on July 9th at Wayside Saloon right outside of Freeport on right off Route 26. This is kind of a groundbreaking thing, I think, for Bryce and I, because this is announced now with this episode dropping. It's we don't want to speak on it too much. We want you to look it up on our Facebook page, 365 Unlimited, but also come with a little unknown factor, as we come with an unknown approach to some of the podcasts, but it's to learn and grow. And I think that's kind of our objective with this event. It's to celebrate us and all that, but also the athletes. If you're watching this and you've been a former athlete or a guest, whatever, please come and join us. We want to hear your story. It's about you also, because you're going to be one of these 80 some episodes by the time we get this event going. Yep. That means all this to us, and that's kind of why we just want to get it all in one place for a day and just celebrate 365 Unlimited in general. But we don't want to get too much into it, get this episode going, but I just want to say quick words and let you get going, and then we'll get started on Deshaun Watson for our first topic.
Before we do that, though, you were waving your hands around a little bit. Kind of tell the audience what's going on with the finger and a little baseball update with that.
Yeah, that's kind of why we've been a little bit off probably the last week or two since we've been back, or since we've been both back in Freeport at the same time. I got surgery on my finger, a lot of little stuff. Hopefully getting it healthy for baseball coming up, but starting to get in the right direction, but just resting into the summer. And other than that, but it feels good to be back on the mic, and we got other stuff handled, and now it's time for this.
For sure. It's back to business. And if there's one thing that we want this summer, it's to be able to engage with our community, and stop being the unknown. We want people to know us, people to understand what we're trying to accomplish, continue to engage, continue to receive that feedback. But now it's time to have some fun. Around the horn, we're going to start off with the topic, kind of a controversial topic here, as it's been within the sports world for over the past year now, with no conclusion, no end in sight, no settlement reached. Nothing has really been done other than the fact $230 million was guaranteed to the man. And that man is Deshaun Watson. So I'm going to start off with my thoughts, Gannon. Give me 2 minutes and 30 seconds. I'll ramble on here, and then I'll let you get your time. All right. Deshaun Watson. I think it's an interesting topic looking at Deshaun. One hell of a football player, one hell of an athlete on the field. On the field is the key message behind that, because the uncertain is we don't know what's going on with this case. Will there be criminal charges that he ends up having to face with new lawsuits coming out? I think he's up to 24 total lawsuits now. And there was a piece that came out the other week where it was 66 women were massage therapists for Deshaun Watson in a matter of 17 months, which is kind of eye-boggling, mind-boggling in a sense. So the questions you got to ask yourself are, I know, Gannon, before we started this recording, we were sitting there talking about the situation, and there's been certain guys that have got suspended for much less. And the only issue I have with that is, obviously the dude is innocent until proven guilty. So if there's no criminal charges, it's up to the NFL, and that starts at the top with Roger Goodell, and he hasn't come out and spoke on this topic whatsoever to the public. Maybe Deshaun Watson and Roger have met in private, which honestly that's a good route to take with less media exposure, to kind of get the facts out in front of each other. I hope there's a settlement here, but at the end of the day, something I was thinking about with the Deshaun situation is the dude's set. He's set regardless of what comes out of this. You got to think about it. The Browns handed him $230 million guaranteed. That's guaranteed money no matter if he ever steps foot on the field with the Cleveland Browns.
Actions, but
which is a possibility. Some actions may be taken, and it may change depending on, I don't know what the rules are with contract voids and what could be done. But at the end of the day, the Deshaun Watson topic is something that I have stayed in tune with for the past year, because I want to see the guy on the field. He's got all the talent in the world. As a human in general, I hope what these women are saying is not true, because it's disgusting. And if it is true, he deserves all the punishment in the world for the actions that were taken against those women. Firm believer on, if you do any action, commit an action just like that, or anything that's been going on, then you deserve punishment to the extreme. If not, I guess we'll never see Deshaun Watson on the field again. But it'll be interesting to see. That's my 2 minutes and 30 seconds. Let's hear what Gannon's got to say.
Sorry, we had to.
You're good.
We're getting going right away here. Yeah, no, definitely the bottom line is the only thing that's happened in the years since all the allegations have come out is the $200 and some million odd contract that Deshaun Watson from the Cleveland Browns. But it's also not Cleveland Browns. It was over half the NFL was in on Deshaun Watson throughout all this, which is even more sickening, I think. But the problem is, it's been players before with Josh Gordon, with other off the field stuff that has been suspended for different years of the NFL.
Yeah.
Colin Kaepernick, whatever you want to put your own thing is on that. There's reasons why he's not in the league, and those are for less punishments or reasons for this than it is. It's really hard to put that in perspective. That's why it's hard to get words out saying that happened to an individual. You look right away to the MLB, Trevor Bauer with domestic violence stuff. All the charges were dropped. He was cleared of any wrongdoing on the legal side. MLB still put him on paid administrative leave during all the trial stuff, which the NFL has done nothing. And then once everything, they did their own investigations, they suspended for 2 full years. You're talking one of the top 5 best pitchers in baseball, making $40 million a year, suspended him 2 years without pay. That's how you make a statement that nobody, let alone sports leagues, put up with domestic violence. And 60 some odd women, when this New York Times article is awful, the stories, it's almost hard to not say it's true, but again, until stuff happens. But the NFL has done nothing. They just sit back, along with the Browns for signing them. It's about filling the seats, getting the money, and that's the biggest thing. If they can play with this stuff on the side, but Deshaun Watson can still be there every Sunday playing the games for the Browns, it sells tickets, packs a place, and that's what's going to happen. And that's what's the most important thing for the NFL. That's why stuff's not taking or being put in action right now. And it's sad because, again, he's only gotten paid for all this. And it's not saying he can't play football again or shouldn't be playing right now. There should be something where, hey, until we figure all this out, you shouldn't be allowed to go in and invest even more with your football. That's a completely different thing. Football's one thing, but committing crimes and doing stuff in a short amount of time is not okay at all. And I think that's kind of the issue they're running into here. But it comes straight from Goodell in the NFL, and I think that's really the biggest thing. the NFL is the bigger professional sports than any other place really in the world.
Mm-hmm.
You can say it is professional sports, a primetime industry. You can make a statement if you wanted to, and that comes down to Roger Goodell making a statement on this, in my opinion. And boom. We need to keep going a little bit more, so we...
Yeah. You want me to introduce the next topic?
Yeah.
All right, so the next topic after diving into Deshaun Watson will be the NBA Finals, a current topic that needs to be talked about right now, and that's just what we're going to do because we're 365 Unlimited. We're talking all sports now, so to be able to dive into the finals actually be pretty cool to stray away from just talking about football. So, all right, give me the 2 minutes, 30 seconds. All right, so we got Boston, we got Golden State. As well as everyone knows that is tuning into this, probably knows that Golden State's been in the title game for what it seems like every other year, if not every year. Steph Curry, Klay Thompson, after getting back after the injury, Andrew Wiggins, Looney, Jordan Poole. The Golden State Warriors have a squad. But don't take the Boston Celtics lightly by any means either. And I'll be the first one to admit, heading into this championship series, I would have told you that the Warriors were going to win in probably 6, possibly 5. That's just what I thought. I didn't think the Celtics had necessarily what it takes to win the chip. They've proved me wrong so far. The Boston Celtics, Jason Tatum, Jaylen Brown, Marcus Smart, lockdown defender, can still ball offensively. They got a squad, just as good of a squad, if not better. They've frazzled the Golden State Warriors. Playing offense, the Celtics have been able to step up defensively, and I think a key player in this is is it Williams? Williams, who's the
center, number
44? Yes. Him down
can't
low.
Think of his first name.
I can't either, but I should be able to think of his first name because
he collects a lot in the paint.
The rebounds that guy's been able to get, rebounding machine, block machine, he stepped up huge for them, and I think it's noticeable that the Celtics are a lot bigger, obviously. Deeper. When it creates more mismatches, having guys that are down low that can just simply out rebound and be more physical, I guess, in a way. I mean, the only physical player the Warriors really have is Draymond Green, and he's honestly spent more time on the floor or whining about calls than he has hooping. I mean, to put it blatantly, the dude has more fouls than he does points in this series thus far. And to me, that's more negative than positive, and it's brutally honest. I do like Draymond as a person. Hearing his podcast show, I enjoy that. But I think my prediction for the end of this series, I still think the Warriors are going to come out on top. I just think, it's Steph Curry. He's changed this game in general. He's transcended the game for the youth. Him shooting the 3 ball. Klay Thompson's going to get hot the next couple games. Wiggins, if he steps up, it's going to be huge. But I'm going to ride with the Warriors to end up winning this series. It's going to be a battle, though. I'm excited to watch these next couple games.
Get the repeat and get going on this one. But I want to start with Draymond. I was looking more into it. The reason why people are upset with Draymond and a lot of that is because he's only averaging 2 or 3 points a game. But that's not what Draymond brings to the court. He averages 7 or 8 rebounds, I think, a game in this series with, I think, 6 assists. I mean, that's why he's on the court, and he plays so well defensive coverages on the pick and rolls because he's undersized playing the 5. That's another reason why he's in foul trouble with James Wiseman hurt. They have no other post depth with veterans. They need to sign some other guys, I think, going into with this offseason. But Draymond does what Draymond does. If you get 12 to 14, 15 points, that's a great night. But you don't, expect that, or that's why Draymond didn't even get to the league was for those reasons. It's what he brings on the other parts of the game.
I can agree with that.
But I think the problem is with the Warriors' inconsistencies is getting other scoring options other than Steph every night. It was with Klay Thompson, with Andrew Wiggins, and Jordan Poole. Some guys step up every night, but it's kind of picking a name out of a hat out of those 3 who's really going to show up, and if any of them are going to show up. And I
Jordan
think
Poole can hoop, man.
And that's the thing. He's young, but they're also somebody's got to catch stride. And I think that inconsistency is the same thing linked with the Celtics. They were 5 to 8 minutes away from going up 3-1 in the series, and that was my hot take before was Celtics and 5. So I was kind of hoping that was working, but it's such a great series. I really don't know who's going to win it. It's really off hunches. Both teams can get so hot. It's the NBA. They're both in the finals for the reason. But I think going off the Celtics' depth and just more around team deeper, I mean, even though the Warriors do have a good core, what they got on the floor, that's the bench and everything else is deeper. Yeah. This time of the year, it's June. It's a long season, 82 regular season plus all the postseason. maybe going 7 games. I'm just going to maybe go with the young Boston Celtics, just being youthful and
All right.
maybe just a little hungrier. It's not saying the Warriors don't want it, but some of those guys on the court, and Steve Kerr included, they've already been there and won a lot. It's not like they take pressure off or any of that, but it's definitely a factor that I think you got to involve in this. And the other thing is a cool factor with the sports business take is like Brad Stevens, moving to the front office role.
Yeah.
Was the head coach, was a pretty successful head coach. I don't know if he didn't make it to the finals, but the Eastern Conference, I know. But constructing this team with the young core with Tatum and Marcus Smart and Brown, and it's a good core that they have that all these guys are third year younger. It's pretty exciting that the little dynasty I think they could maybe build on the East with the Celtics. But I got the Celtics in 6.
And I know we're going to go over time for a second, but I do like what Brad Stevens did for the Boston Celtics, being the head coach and transitioning into the front office roles. He built that team from the ground up and kind of helped them get to where they are now. So he deserves that credit just as much.
Done.
I know. I just wanted to keep talking.
All right, I'll break down the next one before you get going. So we're going to – little preseason training camp. We still got to get our NFL fix in. We're in Bryce's basement, but I had to throw the Lambeau poster for some reason he's got in the basement.
We don't like to see that.
You can't get the Packers out of anybody's life. Let's just get straight to it. But we're going to do a little breakdown here. What are some, hot takes? What are you looking forward to for training camp with some maybe the rookies coming in, free agents? Not a whole lot coming in for Dallas, free agent side, but Bryce will try and stay clear of that. But training camp is coming up July, August time, and this is going to be mid-June by the time this comes out, so it's nuts. It's getting into that time, but let's hop to the 2:30 and let Bryce get talking about those boys.
All right, the Dallas Cowboys. I could go on and on and on because I've been a frustrated fan, a frustrated football mind over the past couple months, and that started for me personally back in March when Dallas yet again chooses to play the conservative route and not add key free agents, missing out on a guy like Von Mueller. Although I'm not too upset about that because the paycheck ended up being a hefty check. So
a lot of years.
It
not
is.
Just money, years
it is.
too.
But I personally just want to see Dallas go out and make a $10 to $12 million signing where you're bringing in maybe a guy like Jason Pierre-Paul, Ndamukong Suh, a guy like Akeem Hicks who signed with Tampa. Just them players that aren't bargain bin players. Those guys are still legitimate starters, and you're only paying anywhere from $8 to $13 million per season, which is not that much. And Dallas did end up clearing cap space, and I think they're up to about $23 or $24 million available. Lack wide receiver depth. I mean, you brought in a guy like Jalen Tolbert, very excited about that. Think he could be a stud wide receiver 3. Michael Gallup ain't going to start the season. So you're looking at a wide receiver core of CeeDee Lamb, who is damn good and I think is going to make a huge jump this year. Wide receiver 2 with Gallup being out is more than likely going to be James Washington. A guy who has slowly but surely not done anything really in Pittsburgh. I think with more opportunities, though, he could become a solid role player.
In and out.
I think he could be a good wide receiver 3-4.
Sure.
But then you got a guy like Noah Brown at the 3 spot with Jalen Tolbert battling with him. And Tolbert was working on the resistance cords a couple weeks ago, and like he's got a little injury he's battling with. So I just want to see Dallas go out. Add another guy like Anthony Barr, linebacker. Give me some more depth. That can't be too expensive. It's not too much to ask for. I think the draft was full of project picks. I think they can turn out to be good. I actually did a write-up for that on Primetime Sports Talk, so check that out. But personally, for me, it's been a frustrating offseason for Dallas. I'm excited for them to get to training camp to see if some of these rookies will end up shining or outshining, I guess, their predisposed thoughts on what they will be from draft analysts, etc., with Tyler Smith getting drafted in the first round, project pick. But like I said, that's kind of how this offseason's felt for Dallas. It's been a project offseason, and I don't know what to expect.
Yeah, for the Packers, obvious, you're going to look right to the wide receiving crew with the departure of Devante Adams and Marquez Valdez-Scantling, both getting good paychecks. Shout out to those guys for getting money always. It sucks, but it's going to be a big time, and I think that links right to Christian Watson, the first-round draft pick for the Packers. There's going to be a lot of talk right away. Can he step into that number 1 role, fill it right away? I think back to Devante Adams. It took 2 to 3 years to really take off. There was his nickname was Drop Tay at a point before he even became 1.7 and became the best wide receiver in the league. So that's also, take that how you want it. You got to give young guys time, and some people don't want to give them time, so keep that. Packers fans, if you're listening, don't. It might suck right away. Some stuff doesn't go your way, but he's young, athletic, and big and fast. And I think it's somebody. Rodgers has a track record of working with young guys and molding them and turning them into, as you can see, Marquez Valdez-Scantling. They said he could only run a good 40, pretty much coming out of Southern Florida. Now look at him. I mean, he got a pretty good contract from the
Real.
Chiefs, getting I think 10 to 11 at least a year. I think was a 3 for 30 or something.
Mhm.
So those guys he can work and develop with pretty much any wide receiving room. I think you give them. The big thing I think is going to be is how they attack the offense. I think you're going to see 7 to 8 less pass attempts a game out of the offense, which will be more maybe dump off screens, some stuff with the tight ends with shovel passes, along with more run schemes with Dillon and Jones. You're going to have more of that type of offense where it's going to be less throws, more runs. In my opinion, if you buy in completely to that, I think you can be a Super Bowl team because it makes you more even. You can control the game clock. And their defense is going to be a problem this year. I mean, they got a lot of guys back. They paid a lot of money. So you got to see how some of that pans out. But their depth at almost all three divisions or lines of the defense, whatever you want to call it, is good. And they got, as that defense got hot the second half of the year last year, turned into a top 10 defense that year, it's going to be a strength for them. So that's what I said with the run game. That balance could be really deadly. And I think in kind of getting people off guard instead of dropping back Rodgers 40 times a game, which I don't know if you could win. And look, it hasn't got you a ring. Maybe since 2010, and you still had a really good run game back then with Ryan Grant and everybody else in the backfield. So I think if the Packers I think that's my biggest thing. If the Packers can transition that offense, you're still going to want Rodgers to throw the ball in his hand, but he's also older and, not as athletic. It's going to slow down each year. So what's this going to do is help take some balance. Defense can play more. I think that's kind of what Packers need to do.
I would agree, but at the same time, before we move into the next one, I just want to say I'm very excited to be able to cheer on Devante Adams this year because past couple of years he's been with a terrible team.
Terrible.
I'm just
like you talk crap about the Packers, you can't even say it with a straight face.
Being able to watch Devante Adams in a new uniform. Yeah. Now I can say he's the best receiver in the league.
He has been.
All right, let's move on to the next topic where we're going to take a little spin on it. It's been nice. We talked about NBA already, and that's something we haven't done in this podcast at all yet. So this is new, and another sport we're going to dive into is the MLB, where I want to talk about, or I guess we both want to talk about ways to improve the MLB with everything that's kind of been going on. So give me the time.
He talks too much before.
All right. So personally, coming from myself who played baseball growing up my entire life, now I've been retired for a couple years now from the game. I played 2 years of college baseball at the JUCO level in my hometown. Forget it. You guys know all that. But at this point in time, baseball has gotten so boring for me that I can't hardly watch it anymore. And I wouldn't say that it's necessarily gotten worse and worse throughout the years. I just think it's grown stagnant for people.
That's also a personal preference because college baseball is at a whole different level.
Okay. Hear me out. I'm
you just don't try and watch it.
I'm talking at the
you don't turn on a baseball game.
Let me talk at the professional level.
Okay, but you don't turn on baseball. I know
the professional level. When I'm sitting here thinking about the MLB, 9 innings is too much for my opinion, to be quite honest.
Let's keep these reasonable. We're not switching innings a game.
7. Why not 7? Why not 7 innings? Why not switch? Eliminate 2 innings. And just make the games go faster.
There's no reason to switch.
I do like the extra inning California rules. I think that is a great move that the MLB did. I just feel like there's got to be a way where fans can get more engaged with the game, make it a more personable experience, because nowadays people are simply going to the game to get drunk. There's not a lot of people that are going to watch the game based on how the team's doing, based on players they want to watch
Depending on what city, you're speaking in a lot of general sense. But
like I said there are some fans that are going to watch the game for that reason, but there's also people simply going there to get drunk. That's just a matter of the fact. If it's me going to an NFL game, yes, there is some personal preference involved in it, but if I'm going to an NFL game, I'm engaged the whole time because of the action, because of how the game is created, because of the wave of action involved within the game itself. That's not there with baseball right now, and they got to find a way to bring that out. Honestly, it's something that I've thought about a lot the past couple of years, because the more and more years that go by, I went from watching baseball every single day to hardly wanting to watch it anymore. And it's not because I don't like the game. I love the game of baseball still. Obviously, I don't play it anymore, but the love of the game is still there for me, yet I still can't find a way to sit down and turn it on. There's got to be something that can come up, and I hope Gannon has a solution, since he thinks that baseball is doing just fine.
That's not exactly what I'm saying. Are you done with your
You
10?
could, yeah, eliminate my 10 seconds. I want to hear what you got to say.
So first off, Bryce won't even turn on ESPN and watch college baseball, which is right now in their postseasons at these home venues, having 3,000 to 5,000, having people bang on the outfield wall. Yeah, college baseball is in a good place, and you just don't watch that, so that's partly on you for that.
Okay, speak on the NFL or the NFL.
No, the MLB. Yeah,
speak
there's
on
definitely
the MLB.
there's definitely the attendance rates, all that, ticket sales are all down, and I think some of it is with the player engagement with the front offices and the players. I think the issues are you're seeing more so at the college levels now, a lot more props. When somebody hits a home run, you have a big thing. You wear a coat. I know Tennessee wears a big fur coat with a daddy hat is what it's called. It's a pink daddy hat is what it says. But that brings flair. That gets people fired up. That gets stuff on social media. You can create memes off that. I know the Blue Jays have some suit coat or something they have with some decals on the back. But there needs to be less restrictions on what players can wear for color cleats, sleeves, all the attachments, wear whatever you want. That stuff should be given, I think. There's no reason why there should be. That only creates more attraction and flair for the game, along with, the bat flips, staring down. There needs to be more of that. Again, that's, you talk to older generations, they're going to say, no, that needs to get removed out of the game of baseball. But I think for the baseball game, which is very stagnant right now for interest, for attendance, just across the board, they need to have a complete change instead of eliminating innings, kind of like Bryce said. I don't know about all that.
How about games? How about we
could shorten the season. Yeah, we could get it down.
How far back would you go?
And it's probably, there's been talk to getting it down to like 142 is getting 20 games
think it's
off.
way too much.
And you could even go maybe more to the 120, 130 range. But I think
it's way too much.
Even besides those big major changes, just the simple factors of letting people do more and not having as stricter rules and people doing bat flips. I know the college game has got to that. Tennessee is even, again, they were the #1 team this year. They pushed the extremes, as people saw sometimes on social media with some of their antics and all that, but it got people buzzing and fired up and talking, and that's what more people need with the game of baseball. Instead of just going for the actual ballpark attraction and where you're at and all that, I think the MLB could do a lot more in that aspect and listening to the players and just let them be themselves. And I think that's why people go at or appeal to certain athletes, because they see what they're doing. I know like Jazz Chisholm's a big MLB guy, Marcus Stroman, they're guys that follow their own vibe, their own lane, and they don't care what anybody else tells you. That's why people are fans of them, even if they're not baseball. So I think that's some quick changes. The not front office, but Rob Manfred, the commissioner, doesn't do a whole lot for the game. But
I don't know. I think that the MLB should be 100 games maximum.
That's just drastic change, dropping 62 games.
There's way too many meaningless games.
But you're talking about history of stats and Hall of Fames and all that. That deteriorates all that. You can't make that big of a change.
I don't think it deteriorates. It's just moving in a different direction.
You're removing 62 games, right? That's almost like half a season from the guys.
I just think it's too much. But
you could have the 130 to 140. But over the same time as 160 and build in 20 more off days. And I think that's what they should do. You can play the same time frame, but there's more days off throughout the season instead of taking off 60-some games.
I just don't think you need a 3-game series against the team. Like you don't.
But again, you're getting too big. You're changing what baseball has been. That's how it is at all levels.
But maybe what baseball's been is not right.
Okay, that's just.
I just don't think it's been great.
All right, let's go to the next one. Last one, sports business.
Actually, a topic that I'm excited to talk about.
Yeah, let me start this one off, and then you can go. Well, I'll just say it, and then you can start to tooth something off.
Go ahead.
Hustle. It's a movie. LeBron, Adam Sandler are co-producers, or a couple other guys. I'm not sure their names. Bryce talked about it. He watched it. He's gonna hit on that on his 2.5. I haven't, so I want to go at it 2 different kind of angles. Why I'm looking for it, why he liked it, and why he was kind of appealed to all that. So I'll let him get into it, but check it out. It's on Netflix. It just dropped.
Yeah. Like Gannon's saying, give me my 2 minutes and 30 seconds.
Yeah.
All right. So like Gannon's saying, yeah, I've watched the movie. First off, I'm a big Adam Sandler guy. So, I mean, him being in a basketball movie was kind of cool. But yeah, no, it's an interesting movie because it starts off kind of just a backstory of a guy, Adam Sandler himself, just wanting to be a coach at the highest level. Working within the Philadelphia 76ers organization. So it was interesting because he was in the scouting role. He was in the scouting role and trying to work his way to the bench. He wanted to be a coach. So obviously his job, he's going to different countries looking for foreign players. That's what his job was. So he was never home. In the movie, they said he missed his daughter's birthday for 9 years in a row. Always being a scout, grinding, working his tail off to be a coach, get on the bench. that was his goal, and I feel like that kind of inspired me, based on the fact that LeBron and Adam Sandler wanted to put together an inspiring movie like that, where um, there may never be an end in sight, but at the end of the day, if you keep grinding for your job, it may come true. And I think that's something that this movie demonstrated. And then there were some NBA players within it, like Anthony Edwards, Boban was in there. There was a bunch more. I saw Seth Curry. I saw Trae Young. There was a bunch of NBA athletes that were in there. So I think that's another thing that speaks volumes to me, is that these athletes were willing to. Luka was in it too. They were willing to come on this movie that LeBron co-directed. I think that also speaks volumes to LeBron's character, and all these other NBA players, ex-NBA players. Dr. J was in it. Allen Iverson speaks to LeBron's character. Them guys wanting to get involved in something LeBron was doing off the court. I think that shows the support. I think it's shown that what LeBron does off the court is just important as what he does on the court. And I think it's something that I've always wanted to say, is just when people say that athletes should just stick to their sports, it's a load of crap. Uh, LeBron has opened schools. He's donated to countless charities. He's done work in Akron, Ohio. He's done work in his hometown, his city. He brought a championship back to his team, and for some reason it's still not enough for a lot of these old heads out there. Obviously, Michael Jordan is probably their GOAT, but at the end of the day, you can't take away from what LeBron has done.
It's not for basketball reasons, but that's a whole nother.
I get it. But at the end of the day, if you haven't already, check out the movie Hustle. Solid. It's on Netflix. It's an inspiring story. There's some funny parts in it. I mean, it's Adam Sandler, so go ahead and enjoy that movie. It'll inspire you, motivate you to keep working on your dreams.
Yeah. But no, definitely I've heard about this for a while. There's trailers. I know Adam Sandler and LeBron are both posting about it, just to work behind the scenes. I watched a little 2-3 minute clip, I think back in like April or something on YouTube. And it's just cool because it's, again, like you talk about Draymond, I saw he's on the road to be a billionaire in the next like 10 to 15 years with all his investments, off the field stuff that he gets, and just how sharp he keeps himself with his business sense, And it's the same thing with LeBron. He's not a billionaire yet, or did he just get to it? No,
he did.
Was that him? Okay,
Yeah.
I was thinking of the list, but yeah. So just getting there, and he's not even done playing in the NBA yet, and there's not a whole. I don't know what the percentage is, but it's not all because of the NBA. It's from him and his likeness and his image, and finally him getting rewarded for that, which is cool to see, because not all athletes in all different levels get that. But he's valued this, and he wants to sustain lifetime and eternal financial success, pretty much, for him and his family doing this. He's gotten into the alcohol with some of his tequila. I know he's produced other companies. I can't think of them off the top of my head, but that's just setting up long-term success for him and his family and generations down the road. So it's not just basketball. It's what he's going to keep doing with his life, and there's a purpose out there for him, and he understands that and sees that, and he senses it and is smart enough. I think that's the cool part about it, and to learn from a great like Adam Sandler. Regardless, he's been in a lot of movies over the years.
Incredible actor.
Before we were even born, through our entire childhood, growing up until now, completely serious kid movies. I mean, all the way. I mean, there's a lot of different ones. So for him, to LeBron, he's just surrounding himself around greatness and whatever he's working on. And it's not just basketball. He's going to be able to learn so much advice and stuff that he's going to pick up from Adam in this producing and movie industry, because he knows that he's not going to waste his time with that. He's going to get around partners and people that are going to set him and everybody else around him up for success along the way.
It's like, I just want to throw this in there. It's like what we were talking about earlier today is, like LeBron is much more than basketball, and like we're intrigued to see what he's going to do.
Basketball literally just broke let's say the eggshell for this career for him. That just got him there, so where he could break that, and this is a broken shell. There's nothing, you don't know what's going to happen when something gets broken. It could go good or bad, and he's using it all for good right now. And the basketball's the least of it. That's what everybody was concerned about. This is all stuff that's going to define him and his legacy more that he's concerned about, I think, than even the basketball, and that's what's important.
All right,
man, I like that.
It was a good time.
It keeps everything structured and organized, and
we'll have to do some more of those around the horn. I know it's an ESPN-like term, obviously, but talking about 5 topics, going rapid fire, 2.5 minutes for each of us. It was a good time being able to talk about some sports topics. Excited to be back. Excited to start doing interviews again. Excited to continue to learn with this. If you haven't already, once you listen to the beginning of this episode, if you didn't do it, now we're at the end. So go back to Facebook, look up our Facebook group 365 Unlimited. You'll find a section in there where we have an event listed, 365 Unlimited at Wayside Saloon, July 9th this year, this summer,
2:30.
starting at 2:30 p.m. and into the night. We're gonna have a good time.
Yeah.
Engage with the community. We're excited to have a great time. By the way, pizza is free. Pizza is free, so don't hesitate to come on out, eat with us, talk with us, learn about us. We'll learn with you. Take your advice into account. Like Gannon said, we'll be quiet on some other things that we're working on with it. But stay tuned. Hope you guys enjoyed this episode. Can't say Gronk spiked the subscribe button anymore.
Yeah, we can.
I mean, we can still say it, but it's,
maybe we could look for a new one. But
we'll
we'll still Gronk Sky. I mean, we're spiking. Sorry, but
we'll look for a new one. But for now,
but I still it's not like we're still going away from.
All right. We'll say it again. But for now, Gronk spiked that subscribe button.
Yeah.
Until then, we'll catch you guys next week. Hope you enjoyed this one.